Hello. Well, it is almost the end of June, and I have not done a garden tour in a couple weeks, and a lot of things are filling in. So I thought I'd show you the progress that the garden is making at the end of June here. So let's go. All right. So we'll start at the mint, chives, sweet williams, and the pansies, and a little bit of comfrey. So the wonderful thing about chives is that this chive patch here has been here for years. Once you plant it, you will never have to plant again, and there's really nothing you can do to kill it except like let it super dry out and not water it. But this patch has been thriving. I've already cut it back twice, and so this is all the new growth, and it grows super fast if you trim it. There's a lot of things. They are not supposed to be out. How did they do that? She has been so determined to break free. I will be right back with the garden tour. All right, we are back in business. So these sweet williams I planted like 2 or 3 years ago in a pot, and then I transplanted them here, and they've just gotten bigger and bigger and more fruitful over this last 2 years that they've been planted here. I have a pollinator watering section, also for any little birds. So here's 2 of the chocolate tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that are doing well. That I'll just keep in pots, and then I'll trellis them up against something when they start to get a little bigger. And we have comfrey, and I've cut this back twice, and the leaves are bigger, more shiny, and just absolutely luscious. So I'm excited to harvest more of that to freeze dry and to powder up. I've been working with making a tooth powder, like a toothpaste powder with comfrey in it, and it's a little messy right now, so I'm trying to hone that in. But the dahlias are all popping up. That's borage. That's a great pollinating, a plant that pollinators love. We have the nasturtiums already blooming. All right, so take a look at these tomatillos and keep this like in mind. Like this is already like almost 1.5 feet tall, and really thick stalks, really healthy looking. This is incredible. So I planted these at the same time. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be out here and finish this. The mosquitoes are eating me alive. All right, so keep these in mind. So we have potatoes that are just going gangbusters all along the fence there. And then the garlic is doing really well. And I think I'm just going to allow those sunflower clusters to bloom up, because I think that might look really pretty. That walkway is going to be unusable anyways by the time the onions get really big. So the sugar snap peas are growing nicely. I actually bought a bag of these trellis clips, and so I just clipped them up because they were wanting to grow in the opposite direction of the trellis. Lettuce is doing really well. I really need to harvest it and plant some new stuff. Carrots are doing well. Onions, these red onions have taken off and are doing amazing. Those white onions are a little bit later to the start. I think I'm going to mulch them to try to keep some more moisture. I've harvested multiple rounds of kale off of this. That's why it's looking a little naked there. The fennel is as tall as I am. This is a 5-foot bush now. It's starting to flower. It's so pretty. So these are onions from last year, and some of them are flowering, but the bulb is still really good, and I've been harvesting some and chopping them up. All right, so you guys, these are the same tomatillos that I planted at the same time as the other ones, but look how stumpy they are. Like I think I'm just gonna like rip this one out and put in some transplants that I had potted up to sell that I haven't sold yet, because these are so tiny. Like what the heck? Like that's not even, like it has a good root base, but it's already flowering. It's not gonna be able to hold any fruit. So this is all from Save Seed, and I'm thinking that it might have been stunted because of being saved, but this is a pretty good size one, and it's got some fruit or some flowers on it, so those can stay. I've got a beautiful sunflower here. Yeah, these onions just aren't, well, the ducks have been in here a couple times accidentally, and so they've really done a number on flattening the little greens. So, oh, it's got a nice little bulb. So maybe if they spend more time bulbing up than growing greens, then that would be awesome. So we have 3 leaves dying back so far on most of this garlic, and I want 4 to 5 leaves to die back before I harvest it. This is a 3-year-old mullein, so last year it flowered for me. What is that? That looks really gross. All right, I'm gonna have to come back and look at that later. And then that's a 2-year-old little mullein that kind of just was on the struggle bus last year in a little 4-inch pot. And so I planted it this year, and I just stuck it over there in the wintertime. And yes, these are cleavers, or what some people call sticky weed. And they started to grow, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna let it be there. It's not really gonna take a lot of nutrition from the soil, and it looks nice. More dahlias along here. My yarrow over the fence here is blooming nicely. And then we got 2 more sunflowers and a foxglove. So dahlias, borage, calendula is finally starting to bloom, and that's really pretty. All right, and so this area here is going to be my perennials that just come back every year. I have fenugreek and rosemary. Fenugreek I might have to plant every year. Thyme, a mugwort plant, sage in there, another pop-up sunflower. I like the ones with the purple veins because the flowers just look a little bit different than your normal sunflower. So I like to leave a lot of these to grow. So I transplanted my echinacea. I've got a whole bunch of echinacea in the greenhouse to transplant. Little kale that will be pulled up, and more perennials will be planted there. My celery that's been growing here for 3 years is now flowering. So I'm excited just to get some seeds and then sprinkle it there so more celery can grow. And then that's dill. And the comfrey plant here I have cut back twice. And as you can see, it is extremely healthy. Comfrey is known as bone knit, and so it has really amazing healing properties to it. It actually helps the cells to renew in the body. You don't want to put it on an open wound if it's like a puncture wound or a big gouge in the skin, because it will make it heal over, the skin grow faster and heal over instead of healing from the inside out. So I have more yarrow. And you guys know the story about the yarrow is that it was a little tiny transplanted root from on my walk over at the park. And so that's been growing. Finally got all my beans transplanted and filled in, and you can see that a lot of them are starting to grow up the hog panels there. And these onions are doing really good. And these onions are actually planted after I planted those little small ones over there. This is my giant chamomile. This chamomile is just out of control. But it's flowering now, so I'm excited to harvest some flowers off of it. Cilantro, I unfortunately didn't water out here as much when I first planted the seeds to fill in the small patches there, and it just ended up not taking, so I have to plant some more. Parsley is doing really good. It's all gone to seed, so the seed will drop and grow more parsley later this summer. This is a new nasturtium. It is so pretty. It's called Cream Orchid, I believe. And I'm really excited that it's blooming. It's blooming over there as well. So this will just, after the peas are gone, it'll just continue to go up over the trellis, and it'll be really nice. So here we have another mullein. Mullein is really great for lungs. The flowers are really great for earaches internally, like in teas and stuff. This is a cherry tomato that's doing really well. I have, it's like a cantaloupe. I think those are 2 cantaloupes, and I've got some watermelon too, and more nasturtiums. And these were actually planted after the ones over there, and these tomatillos are doing better. So I just maybe think the soil's a little lacking nutrition. So I've got thyme here. These are filled peas that I planted as thinking they were sweet peas, but they're not. I've got a golden tomato and a red. They're both cherry tomatoes. One's red and one's yellow. there. More nasturtiums. Cucumbers are starting to take off. They like this warmer temperature. Those are all tomatillos as well. I'm growing a lot of tomatillos this year. And my cabbage, I've harvested 2 cabbages so far, and it's like a cone cabbage, I think. And this one is doing well. So I'm excited to harvest that one later. Something is getting to my broccoli. I need to spray that. This is kind of just my catch-all of little starts that I find. I need to be more intentional about this space though. This is comfrey that needs to be whacked down and made, like chopped down again. But this is what it does. If you don't harvest it, it will just fall over, turn into mulch. The branches will snap off, and then new mullein will grow up. So it's kind of a self-pruning, self-cultivating. We've got more sunflowers here with some wildflowers mixed in this little fingers here. And then we have feverfew with mullein mixed in, and a couple sunchokes over there. And then this is another perennial garden. So we have chamomile, savory, mother's wort, Greek oregano, some strawberries on top of the asparagus patch. And this is a new garden bed that I put in a couple weeks ago for the raspberries. And I've got some raspberries in pots that I need to transfer over to here. I was just letting the soil break down a little bit more. And I've got more potatoes over there that are doing really well. Our apple tree is doing amazing this year. I'm really excited. I've been pruning it and helping with airflow and getting more sunshine there. These here are going to be marigolds. Maybe those are tomatoes. I think those were little tomato starts I started that were just kind of on the struggle bus, so I just threw them there to see if they would make it. And I have sweet meat squash there. And I did throw seed in here, but I don't think any of my seed is growing that I actually put in there. I think these are just weeds, but I'm not going to pull them yet, and we'll see. I planted stuff in here too, but I think it dried out. It's not really wanting to grow. I mean, the yarrow's growing. That's nice. And I have many little, oh my gosh, they're so cute. Little ferns off of the asparagus. Strawberries, we've had like 4 major harvests of strawberries, which has been really nice. My rhubarb, I know, I have my rhubarb planted way too close together, but that's where I had to plant it for right now. And I've got some yellow summer squash going over here, which is awesome. Let's see it. I'm sorry. There we go. And then this was kind of a catch-all, but there is squash down there, and it will grow up over here. And I've got some more squash planted here with some watermelon. I was just like, well, watermelon, if you want to grow, you can grow here. It gets a lot of sun. It'll get full sun. Got more yarrow. I transplanted this from over there by the pear tree. And I thought that was like a climbing squash, but it's kind of looking like a zucchini. I don't know. I don't know what I got. That was out of the compost bin. So we've got more dahlias all along here. So this whole thing will be filled in with dahlias. I'm really excited about that. My hydrangeas are starting to bloom. I planted some large-leafed sunflowers over here. When Luna was giving birth, a little bit got out, and he totally bit off the top of this sunflower. But as you can see, it's determined to come back, and so I'll just probably leave it there. And then this one's been pretty eaten up, again, from the goats, but it still has its main flower. So I think these are giant minis, so like big head, but small, or dwarf sunflower, I think. More sunflowers. Once, like, if you haven't ever started a garden yet, or if you're contemplating starting potatoes, just know that you will have potatoes wherever you plant them forever and ever and ever. I planted potatoes here one year, and no matter how much I pull them up, they always come back. So the pear tree is trying to come back, and we have a whole bunch of honeysuckle mixed in there with that. Some more sweet williams. The blueberries are coming in. I think this plant, I don't know why it has so much greenery and no berries. It's really interesting. I mean, it has a couple. Maybe it needs some more fertilizer. I didn't really fertilize them this fall or this spring, and I'm really kicking myself for that. I really should have done that. Okay, here's a view of the glorious strawberries. I have squash planted all there in the black buckets. It will grow over and create shade for the strawberries, which I'm hoping will elongate our season. I have some raspberries here that are doing really well, and after this year I will transplant them over there and use this pot for something else. I planted flower seeds down here again too, and I think they all just got washed away, which is a bummer. I love raspberries. And the leaves are very medicinal too. So I'm excited to harvest some of these up. Red raspberry leaf is really beneficial to us women. It helps to tone our uterus and can help with cramping. It's just really mineral rich. So I've got basil and marigolds, and it just seems like the basil's kind of slow to go, but it's been warmer, so hopefully we'll get more of that. And then in the middle of this, or in the squash area that I have here, I planted red runners, and so I might regret that, but you just always do something once, and if it works out, you keep doing it, and if it doesn't work out, you don't do it the next year. Gardening is just an experiment. So these are the best climbers ever. I haven't even had to train them. They just have been like, oh, here's something we can grow up. Okay, we're gonna go for it. So these will be flowers. Sorry, you guys, I am really trying to work on my videography, but can't get better unless you practice. So here I am practicing gardening, practice videotaping, and then we have our glorious cherry tree, which is just laden with cherries. Trying to get upset about it because the birds have been in here totally just robbing cherries, but as you can see, we have a lot to share. Unless they do crap like that, and then that's frustrating. See, someone's just been in here like chomping on it. And then we have a whole bunch of moldy ones like this that just rot the fruit around it. I don't know what's up with that or why that does that. I don't know what is eating it like that. Is it a bird? Is it a squirrel? Because we've got both. They will get a little bit redder. Oh, obviously. Shoot. I wonder if this is my fault. This is split. I watered really heavily out here, and it was touching the cherries. And I bet I split a lot of these cherries because of the water. Okay. Well, something new learned. This is my apple tree. Started it from seed. My way of saying, well, it will be an apple. It may not be true to the apple, the kind of apple that the seed came from, but I don't know. I think a lot of our things that we're told to do or not to do are to just control us. So this is filled in beautifully back here with nasturtiums and sunflowers, and there's a lavender plant on the other side there. And we've got a lavender here. We've got some succulents and some oregano and some mint, and that is a really pretty peach calendula, and those are just yellow calendulas there. Potatoes, green bags. If you get these plastic green bags, don't throw them away. They will make great potato sacks. So last year I grew sweet potatoes in pots. Never again. That really sucked. They all went to the bottom and they only got like pencil thin. Like, I think having them in a pot like this or in a bag will create a little bit more, help them to grow closer up to the soil. And if they don't, then I can dump it out and it won't be an issue. So the last few years I've had dahlias all along here, and I just wanted something different to look at. So I planted zinnias and sage and a lot of other flowers, but this is not a flower. That is bindweed, and that is grass. Okay. It's hard to tell sometimes, and when I planted seed, I'm like, I don't want to pull that. I don't know what that is, but that's looking like a squash or a cucumber. Probably a squash, but these are not. Oh, and there was, I think the cat's been in here. Hey, you. Hey. Stop squashing my newly started seeds. Yeah? Yeah? Kitty. So lots of mint. We love mint. I harvested and freeze-dried 2 rounds of mint. And it's just glorious. I have some in the dehydrator right now, along with dandelion root. And, well, hello there. Are you hoping I have something for you? I did dandelion and mint in the dehydrator today, so. Oh, and we have some volunteer lemon balm here. That's lovely. This is a really healthy plant. I'm gonna pick some of this and some mint and probably a couple other herbs and go in and brew a tea. I have some lavender blooming over there. Oh, look at a little chocolate mint start. That's a little out of place. Chocolate mint doesn't really taste like chocolate. It kind of has like a little underlying of smell of chocolate, like mint chocolate, but it doesn't. All right, well, that concludes my rambling in the garden and showing you how everything has filled in. If you want to see the progress, you can go back to earlier videos and see the end of May one is, or maybe it's the 1st of May, I can't remember. I'll try to link it below. That video compared to this one is super impressive. Like, there's hardly anything growing, naked rows, and then versus now where a lot of the rows have filled in. So I hope you were able to learn something. Thank you for coming along with me in my garden, and pray you are blessed.